This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. So it appears that the Sussex PR machine is in overdrive trying to prove to the world that Harry was really at this tennis tournament over the weekend. Now, all of a sudden, we have a few seconds of video of Prince Harry talking to some reality star from Netflix. I'm going to go ahead and put this clip on loop because one of the questions that has come up today is, did Meghan use AI to put Harry into this? Because looking at the few seconds that we're watching here, his behavior and conversation with this guy do not connect. It's almost bizarre, his interaction with this guy, as if he really is planted in there. And why should we trust anything that Meghan and Harry put out? As we have discovered, Meghan used AI to manipulate her childhood videos. So, looking at this clip, on the surface, it appears that Harry is being very rude in this conversation by completely turning his face as this guy is still talking to him. And this guy's reaction is almost as if he's annoyed with this interaction, but I don't necessarily think that that's the case here. I mean, we all know that Harry can be rude, but so openly rude like this? I don't know. What do you think? And the women that's standing right in front there don't even acknowledge this conversation is going on, especially with Meghan. You know how needy she is whenever Harry is around and getting her claw out to pull him around. She doesn't even do that here. I'm sure at this point, many of you are probably saying to yourself, who cares? Why are you wasting time analyzing this clip on whether it's AI or not? Like, what's the purpose? Initially, I said the same thing. I'm like, why would I waste my time here? Most likely it's fake. But then I thought about it again and I said, no, it is important that we point this stuff out to get people accustomed to start critically thinking. Because for 6 years, nobody recognized that those childhood videos that have been put out by Nanaki were indeed digitally altered and manipulated. Remember, the woman that we're calling Meghan is from Hollywood, and they have been using this technology now way before any of us got our hands on the commercial versions of it. And let us not forget that Harry and Meghan earlier this year announced that they were a part of this coalition to try and stop deep fakes when it comes to the elections. So far, we haven't seen anything coming from that, but who knows? This could have possibly been something that they were playing around with. It's anybody's guess. The reason why this is important, though, is if Harry and Meghan are doing it, chances are other people are doing it. So it's really about trying to get ourselves accustomed and trained to recognize when we see something that just doesn't look right. And, thinking in the long line that this technology is out there and it's being used to deceive and manipulate the public. I think the one blessing that we can all agree on about this couple is that they have opened our eyes on the manipulation by the media and how it can be weaponized. And that's why it's important that we take a look at this and start understanding how these technologies are being used against the public. I'm going to go ahead now and slow this video down so you can take a closer look to see if you can spot anything out of the ordinary, meaning like any type of digitization abnormalities, kind of the similar ones that we saw in Meghan's childhood videos. So right off the bat, my eyes go immediately to Harry's hands, and I start looking at, is it possible for the sun to reflect on Harry in this way, to which his whole body, there is a shadow being casted, and then there's this bit of light that you see outlining Harry's hand. Now, I have frozen this one frame to let you guys decide what you think. Perhaps maybe it's the sun that's hitting his hand in a way. I don't know. I can't make that call based off of not fully understanding how the sun is hitting Harry and this other gentleman. But in this one frame, if this was AI, this would be a good indicator that this was digitized. As you can see, there is this white outline around it. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here on the hands real quick. To me, I don't see or can tell that there's anything out of the ordinary going on. But then again, I'm not really sure how the sun is supposed to be hitting, because you can see that Harry facing this guy has a big shadow, and I'm not really sure if the sun would be hitting his hands, especially in that position. Then there's that fly that's passing on by. Gives every indication that they're outside. I don't see anything wrong so far. Okay, let's zoom in now to this conversation that Harry is supposed to be having with this guy. I mean, we've noticed that he's not interacting with him, but when you look at Harry himself, does he look any way weird? To me, he doesn't. It is bizarre, his behavior by not reacting to the things that this guy is saying. It does appear that he might be telling a joke, but Harry doesn't respond. Also, who knew that Harry had a double chin? I mean, is this something that's new now? Anyhow, he turns around, and in this case, it sort of looks like it might be digitally altered, but again, I can't tell. This could very well be real. If this was AI, then if you look at this guy's line of sight, perhaps maybe there was someone that's not seen on camera that he's talking to, and Harry really isn't there. That's also a possibility. Or it could be Harry was really there and was being rude because look at the side eye that this guy gives. Who knows if he was looking at Harry or if he was looking off to the side of something else. We don't know. But if I was on a game show and I had to guess AI or not and knew nothing about this couple, I most likely would say that it's a real video. And unfortunately, I would be going home with no money because if we zoom in and look at the women now in the front and the reflection in their glasses, it tells a different story. Especially the one who's wearing the round glasses. She gives a full picture as to what's standing in front of them, and it sure does look like there are people standing in front of them. Now, as she moves away and you see Harry turn his face, what do you notice in the reflection of his glasses? There's nobody standing in front of him. How could that be? Especially if there are 4 people literally standing in front of him. Meghan, this woman, her friend Kelly, and then this other woman. That should have been picked up on those sunglasses if Harry truly was there. There's literally 3 people standing in front of him. Where are they in the reflection? So if I was on this game show, knowing what I know, and was asked this question, was this AI or not, I think I'd be going home with a very nice prize. Did anyone notice who Meghan was hanging around with? If you guessed Sunshine Sachs, then you get a prize because that's Kaylee Thomas Morgan of Sunshine Sachs Morgan Leals. So it begs the question, did they really split with rumors that they left on bad terms, or was that put out into the PR to detract away from Sunshine Sachs being associated with the Harkles? Because technically the Harkles had been bringing bad PR onto Sunshine Sachs as a result of all the debacles that we have seen over the last 6 years. As a gentle reminder, Sunshine Sachs is heavily aligned and associated with Democratic causes. Ken Sunshine worked numerous Democratic campaigns, and his partner, Sean Sachs, formerly worked with the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Some nice little fun facts is that some of Sunshine Sachs's corporate clients includes Facebook, Instagram, and Lyft. Also, they've been employed by the Golden Globes as well as the ESPYs. You know, the same ESPYs that gave Prince Harry the Pat Tillman Award this year. Who knows if they're still working together, but at this point, nothing would surprise me. And being that one of the founders, Ken Sunshine, is best friends with the Clintons, then, it totally makes sense why Prince Harry has got this speaking gig at the Clinton Global Initiative coming up this week. One thing that is certain is that this company, Sunshine Sachs, is very much aligned with the liberal left and the Hollywood elite who are profiting off of the destruction of America. And that's what we see happening with this support for Kakala. Remember, this was a company that supported and backed rapist Harvey Weinstein and used dirty PR tactics to go after the victims. These people are just as filthy as Meghan. Remember, everything that we have been told has been a lie. And speaking of lies, since everybody has been talking about Thomas Jr.'s outbursts about Meghan having a hysterectomy, I thought I would add my 2 cents into it because what he has said demonstrates that the story that they have been trying to hold together now is completely falling apart. Let's look at exactly what was said, verbatim. So there's no misunderstanding or twisting of words. So let's go ahead and review. Someone on his live asked the question about this birth in 1997. And Thomas Markle Jr. responds, "Why do people come on here and say, please confirm that Meghan gave birth in 1997? Seriously? Who gives a flying F? I mean, ask Meghan. All I can say about that is Trevor, her ex-husband, confirmed that she had a hysterectomy, so about giving birth. I have no idea. Maybe it was before, maybe. I don't know, But Trevor said she had a hysterectomy, therefore, because it was a problem in their relationship and he wanted children. So it's out there. Google it. Everything is out there on Google. Everything. Trevor put out an article there that Meghan had a hysterectomy and couldn't have children, and that was a big issue in their relationship. That says a lot to the fake royal kids right now, because obviously they couldn't have come out of her, so that's something she obviously is going to have to deal with eventually. But the way a narcissist works, they'll never, ever admit to anything, ever, any wrongdoing, and they'll tend to tell 25 more lies to cover one. So there's your answer, Miss Shock. It's an odd question and nobody really cares, and that's the thing about ... Thomas Markle was being very defensive and aggressive with this response. And for those that believe what was said on this live, it was a rather unique response, especially since he just lost his mom. For me, if I was in that situation, I would have been like, it's not appropriate. I just lost my mom, and that would have been it. But to go down this path and make claims or statements that simply aren't true, Trevor never put out an article about Meghan having a hysterectomy. So it goes to show how easy it is for Thomas Markle Jr. to tell a story and stand in his truth, which is why I'm calling bullshit. The stories that he's telling people is simply bullshit. For a family that has been claiming that they were so close with Meghan when she was growing up, I find it hard to believe that he wouldn't know whether or not Meghan gave birth in 1997. And before anyone says that I'm taking Meghan's side, no, I'm not. I'm just calling out the lies here that is being blatantly told to our faces. Meghan is no better than these people. Every single one of them have lied to us, and that is a hard fact that can be backed up by multiple sources that they themselves have put out into the public. If you were so close with your family, how would you not know if your sister gave birth at 16? She didn't know Trevor at that time. And when you look at these photos here, you're seeing Thomas Markle Jr.'s two sons, who at least were 5 and 6. I would say maybe a little older. Thomas Dooley looks like he's about 7 or 8. That would most definitely put them in the 1997 range, considering Thomas Dooley was born in 1991. So how could he not know if his baby sister gave birth to a child? And this is why I'm calling bullshit on this story. Meghan didn't know Trevor in 1997. And seriously, if he was telling the truth, he would have said, look, Meghan didn't give birth in 1997. She was in high school. She graduated. She went to college. There was no disruption in her childhood like that. And if Junior was grieving and lost his mom, why would he go through the hassle of making up this lie and stating that Meghan had a hysterectomy and it was Trevor who put this article out? That's an outright lie. Now, if you're in the camp that believes that Thomas Jr. was close to Meghan when she was growing up, then he completely deflected and ignored answering the question. Now, if the answer is, I don't know if she gave birth in 1997, then that means you're lying about being close when Meghan was growing up, because that is something you absolutely would have known happened in 1997, because Meghan would have been 16, if we're going by her age that she's claiming that she is. How are we supposed to believe anything that these people say, especially when everything that they've given us has been manipulated or edited? Like, take, for example, this photo. Where is this child's other leg? They literally photoshopped in and forgot to put the rest of his leg in it. And don't tell me that that was supposed to be a shadow, because it doesn't go all the way down to the table. Or how about this photo that we've seen 1,000 times over? Look closer, folks. Look at how old Meghan's face looks. How did we not see this when this first came out? I'll tell you why. It's because the majority of us are good people and would never have expected or thought of that people like this exist in the world who want to deceive and manipulate you, which is exactly what they've been doing for the last 6 years. So when people come down my street and say, oh, you're so cruel and mean to not believe the various versions that the public was fed pertaining to the events around Thomas Markle Sr.'s heart attack, I never once said that I didn't believe Thomas Markle had heart problems. I'm sure he does. I just don't believe the stories that they have been telling us. There's too many inconsistencies, and that's not me twisting their words. It's their own words and what they put out themselves. So if anybody is to blame, it's them. Tell the truth and we won't have any problems. It's that simple. And to be angry over getting called out, and because we dare challenge these narratives that we've been fed, go take a hike, man. I could give a shit. And if you haven't figured it out, I'm not one to just fall in line because there are people who are pressuring others to fall in line to go along with this charade. One thing that I learned from that horrible experience that I had at work was that God comes first. And I can't, with good conscience, be putting out content where I know that lies are being perpetuated here. I just can't do it. You know, you have to think, why are people getting so bent out of shape over me not believing the narratives that we were fed pertaining to this heart attack? And also, I'm going to put it out there, the stroke too. Not everybody's going to like what I have to say. My opinion really has no impact on anything. So quit getting bent out of shape over it. Moving on. Now, the final topic that I want to discuss in this video is this interview that Piers Morgan did last night with Andrew Bustamante, who is a former CIA agent. Now, you may have seen or heard about this guy before, as he does do a lot of interviews with podcasters on this platform. He talks a lot about what it takes to be in the CIA, as well as his experience with them. A really fascinating guy that I highly recommend you check out. He does have a channel. But on this episode, Piers Morgan brings him on to talk about this assassin who attempted to take our former president. And he does go into talking about the Biden-Harris regime. And here's what he had to say.
That what people aren't identifying or what people aren't willing to talk about yet is how dangerous a game the Biden and Harris camp have been playing since the beginning of this, because they are essentially engaging in what the government very well knows is a influence campaign. They are not just running a presidential election campaign, they are running a influence campaign. And influence campaigns use very specific words, very specific alarmist rhetoric. When you hear people talk,
we're living through a pandemic that continues to ravage communities in every corner of the globe. Climate change wreaking havoc on our planet, with the most vulnerable suffering most of all.
About rhetoric, what they're talking about is alarmist rhetoric. They're using terminology, and if you watch the Democratic National Convention, you'll actually see how mass psychosis was leveraged throughout that entire event to create chants that were dark and almost verging on violence. That is further evidence of what we in intelligence call an influence campaign.
I mean, interestingly, the second shooter, Ruth, was using towards the end on social media, that was found by the media before most of it got shut down, was using direct sentences which had come out of Kamala Harris's mouth about Trump being a threat to democracy and so on. Conversely, Trump every single day, he's just done it now on X, will say that Biden and Harris have destroyed the country and only he can save it. I mean, there's a very kind of apocalyptic language being used on both sides, isn't there?
Yeah, you're right. They are both speaking in generalities that are dark and apocalyptic, to use your term. But I think the big difference that we're seeing here is that Donald Trump's rhetoric is still very much, you know, Donald Trump's improv, his off-the-cuff exploration and trying to come up with, you know, sound bites that sound interesting or relevant. Whereas what we're seeing from the Harris and Biden camp are very well-tailored, crafted attacks that are repeated over and over again. Anybody in business, anybody in marketing, even you, peers in media, you understand the value of saying the same phrase the same way over and over again.
Yeah.
right? And that is exactly what is happening from the current sitting administration.
No, I think there'll
and
be
it's
lots
a
of
very
people-
dangerous game because it sets a precedence.
Yeah, there are lots of people out there, I think, who repeatedly hear from the left that Trump represents an existential threat to democracy. Like if
They
he
hear it so much,
if
they
he
believe
wins
it, Piers.
democracy,
Isn't that amazing?
We are witnessing a global assault on democracy and freedom.
that they believe Ryan Ruth, the second shooter, may have been a CIA asset. What would you say to that?
Now I'm going to stop right here. If you're interested in seeing the full episode, I'll go ahead and put that link in my description box. But I'll ask my viewers, if you would be interested in me doing a future video talking about whether or not Meghan could be a CIA asset. I've been actually watching this guy for a while, and, it is a topic that I've been toying around with in exploring. So if there is interest, I will go ahead and put something together. Just let me know. But that's all I have for you guys today. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I was such a fraud.